Let's read 1984 and see where this world's going to take us. You see, I can't play games constantly. It's frustrating. It's the same, it never changes. And it's the same with books, but once you've read a book, you don't have to read it again. You can just keep discussing it. Only if you lose what the idea was, you have to read it again, but still. I will get to reading this. So where did we leave off? We left off with him being... He was writing in a book that he wasn't supposed to have. And after he'd finished writing and realised what he'd done, there was a knock at the door. But he left the book open because it was done with a feather and quill. Or with a quill and ink, or whatever you want to call it. And it was his neighbour wanted him to fix a pipe. And he's gone round there looking for stuff to help her. And she was getting a spanner. And then... That's it, innit? Yeah, that's it. There we go. So he goes into the next room. Got ya. So this is where we are now. So he's going into another room. And what he's going to do in that next room, no idea. But here we go, I guess. Up with your hands, yelled a savage voice. A handsome, tough-looking guy of Nan... Sorry, good-looking boy of Nan had popped up from behind the table and was menacing him with a toy automatic pistol, while his small sister, about 2 years younger, made the same gesture with a fragment of wood. Both of them were dressed in the blue shorts, grey shirts and red neckerchiefs which wear the uniform of the spies. Winston raised his hands above his head, but with an uneasy feeling. So vicious was the boy's demeanour that it was not altogether a game. "You're a traitor!" yelled the boy. "You're a thought criminal! You're a Eurasian spy! I'll shoot you! I'll vaporize you! I'll send you to the salt mines!" Suddenly, they were both leaping around him, shouting, "Traitor!" and "Thought criminal!" The little girl imitating her brother in every movement. It was somehow slightly frightening, like the gambling of tiger cubs, which will soon grow up into man-eaters. There was a sort of calculating ferocity in the boy's eye, a quick, evident desire to hit or kick Winston in the consciousness of being very nearly big enough to do so. It was a good job. It was not a real pistol he was holding, Winston thought. You see, there's a bunch of kids out there that are like that. When they do stuff, you think to yourself, if that was real, you'd be a little bastard. And you see kids on bikes doing shit, it's like, God, it's a good job that's not a motorbike. It's a good job that's not a motocross bike. It's a good job you haven't got a motor on it, basically. Or the kids who ride those little toy cars and go over humps and shit. It's like, God, you're going to crash your car when you're older. You're going to be the guy who goes over a hill and then slides and then tumbles and then crushes a pram. That's what you're going to do. But yeah, those kids exist all over the place. They're frightening people. Very frightening. Especially when you can see a kid beginning to understand that their place in the world can be manipulated. Like a kid learning about magic. Hang on. You can do something for someone and lie to them and they'll be happy about it. People would pay you to be lied to. That's incredible. That's incredible. Why would they do that? Why would people pay? Well, we call them illusionists because they're very good at their job. So they just manipulate people as professionals. Yes. What about the police and the army? Well, they're just violent people who want to do violent shit, so we put them somewhere that can do violent stuff. There we go. Prisoners. Well, they're a problem for most of society. We need to throw them somewhere. Some kids, though, never get past the "this is what I can do, but I shouldn't do it" stage. Most of the kids just keep doing it. I could have been anything from a firebug to a burglar. I could have ended up in so many random little places, you know, when I was a kid doing stuff. And I could have ended up doing all sorts of random shit when I was a kid. And now, 34 years old, no criminal record, no mischief, no arrests, no warnings, no run-ins with the police, nothing whatsoever. Never been arrested for any actual crimes. And that's my mistake. I need to commit crime. You know what crime is? Crime is the great equalizer. It's not crime. It's, oh God, how can someone lesser than me trick me into giving them money? I think I said this earlier with fucking rich people and celebrities and famous folk. I think I said this earlier. They're separate from us. They segregate themselves. If all of your best, greatest movie stars live down your street, let's say Michael Caine. No, let's go with someone new. Channing Tatum. He's living down your street, and you get a knock on your door one night, 8 o'clock, 8:30. You got any sugar? I don't have any sugar and the shops are shut. Is it alright if I borrow some? Yeah, sure, not a problem. Channing Tatum. There you go. Who was that? Oh, it's that guy from the movie. He lives down the streets. He's just wanting some sugar. Yeah, but who was it though? Oh, it's from blah 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 blah. Really? Yes, and he'll probably be round again, so just chill the fuck out. I don't know how people can't hang around famous folk. It's really annoying. Oh, you're famous? No, they're normal and you've seen them somewhere else. That's it. What I would do is walk up to those really skinny women and say to them, I thought it was very brave of you to go on those Victoria's Secret ads and then lose all that weight. It's very brave of you to come out now. How dare you? What, are you not inclusive? Do you not like being praised for things? What's wrong with you? Oh, suddenly being fat's offensive. Ooh. You can't win. You can't win. Because they seclude themselves from everybody else, and they just don't. The zeitgeist escapes them. They dip their toes into it, and they have people around them telling them stuff, but they're not within the social sphere. Mrs. Parsons' eyes flitted nervously from Winston to the children, and back again. In the better light of the living room, he noticed with interest that there were actually dust in the creases of her fists. That should that should have been a warning. I should have been told about that. You can't make me laugh like that when I'm in the middle of smoking and reading. Don't do that. They do get so noisy, she said. They're disappointed because they couldn't go see the hanging. That's what it is. I'm too busy to take them and Tom won't be back from work in time. Why can't we go see the hanging? Roared the boy in his huge voice. Why can't we go see the hanging? There you go. This is his huge voice. Want to see the hanging? Want to see the hanging? Chanted the little girl, still capering around. Some Eurasian prisoners guilty of war crimes were to be hanged in the park that evening. Winston remembered this happened about once a month and was a popular spectacle. Children always clamoured to be taken to see it. He took his leave of Mrs. Parsons and made for the door, but he had not gone 6 steps down the passage when something hit the back of his neck in agonizingly painful blow. It was as though a red-hot wire had been jabbed into him. He spun round just in time to see Mrs. Parsons dragging her son back into the doorway while the boy pocketed a catapult. So the little shit hit him with something. You little bastard. Goldstein! Bellowed the boy as the door closed on him. But what most struck Winston was the look of helpless fright on the woman's greyish face. God, she's only about 30. Stop describing her like that. It's so fucking funny. Oh, man. Back in the flat, he stepped quickly past the telescreen and sat down at the table again, still rubbing his neck. The music from the telescreen had stopped. Instead, a clipped military voice was reading out, with a sort of brutal relish, a description of armaments of the new floating fortress, which had just been anchored between Iceland and the Faroe Islands. Huh, that's a bit of exposition there, we'll go with that. Excuse me. I don't have enough to drink for this. With those children, he thought, that wretched woman must lead a life of terror. Another year, 2 years, and they would be watching her night and day for symptoms of unorthodoxy. Nearly all children nowadays were horrible. What was worst of all was that by means of such organisations as the spies, they were systematically turned into ungovernable little savages, and yet this produced them into no tendency whatsoever to rebel against the discipline of the party. On the contrary, they adored the party and everything connected with it. The songs, the processions, the banners, the hiking, the drilling, the dummy rifles, the yelling of slogans, the worship of Big Brother, it was all a sort of glorious game to them. All their ferocity was turned outwards, against the enemies of the state, against foreigners, traitors, saboteurs, thought criminals. It was almost normal for people over 30 to be frightened of their own children. Huh. That's very apt for the moment, don't you think? And with good reason. For hardly a week passed in which the Tabs did not carry a paragraph describing how some eavesdropping little sneak child hero, was the phrase generally used, had overheard some compromising remark and denounced its parents to the thought police. Jeez. You can think what you want. It's when you start doing shit, right? That's what I think. It's when you start doing shit, that's when things need to be stopped. Oh well. The sting of the catapult bullet had worn off. He picked up his pen half-heartedly, wondering whether he could find something more to write in the diary. Suddenly he began thinking of O'Brien again. Years ago, how long was it? 7 years it must be? He had dreamed that he was walking through a pitch-dark room, and someone sitting to one side of him had said as he passed, "We shall meet in the place where there is no darkness." It was said very quietly, almost casually. A statement, not a command. He had walked on without pausing. What was curious was that at the time in the dream, the words had not made much impression on him. It was only later and by degrees that they had seemed to take on significance. He could not now remember whether it was before or after having the dream that he had seen O'Brien for the first time, nor could he remember where he had first identified the voice as O'Brien's. But at any rate, the identification existed. It was O'Brien, who had spoken to him out of the dark. Ooh. Ooh. Winston had never been able to feel sure. Even after this morning's flash of the eyes, it was still impossible to be sure whether O'Brien was a friend or an enemy. Nor did it even seem to matter greatly. There was a link of understanding between them, more important than affection or partisanship. We shall meet in the place where there is no darkness, he had said. Winston did not know what it meant. Only that in some way or another it would come true. Cryptic. A little bit, don't you think? The voice from the telescreen paused. A trumpet call, clear and beautiful, floated into the stagnant air. The voice continued raspingly. After I smoke some of this. Yeah, there you go. So, in the chat, I want you to I want you to change my accent. So as I'm reading, I want you to suggest a. Oh, that's in fact. Oh yes, that's even better. Read the whole thing with accents. Yes. All right, so I'm gonna read the whole thing with accents. Obviously, I'm gonna start with mine. Well, get through what this far. Shh. But I'm gonna be looking for accents now. Should be fun. Attention, attention. Your attention, please. A newsflash has this moment arrived from the Malabar front. Our forces in the south and India have won a glorious victory. I am authorized to say that the action we are now reporting may well bring the war within measurable distance of its end. Here is the newsflash. Now that'd be fucking fun. Newsflash. I made myself laugh a bit too much. Bro, are you high? Definitely. And I'm a little drunk too. Are you high? Are you drunk? Speaking of being high, I actually am considering going to a dealer and getting some weed. I'm all out now. There's bad news coming. Thought Winston. And sure enough, following on gory description of the annihilation of a Eurasian army, with stupendous figures of killed prisoners, came the announcement that, as from next week, the chocolate ration would be reduced from 30 grams to 20. Oh, how did you come up with this idea for a stream? I momentarily, just right now, I was fucking around and I read it and I thought, you know what? Do me some accents. Give me an accent. And besides, 1984, very, very accurate right now. And this was written so long ago. But this is hitting home with the things that are being said. Do, 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 do. Winston belched again. The gin was wearing off, leaving a deflated feeling. The telescreen, perhaps to celebrate the victory, perhaps to drown the memory of the lost chocolate, crashed into Oceana. "'Tis for thee. You were supposed to stand to attention. However, in this present position he was invisible. Oceana, 'tis for thee," gave way to lighter music. Winston walked over to the window, keeping his back to the telescreen. The day was still and clear. Somewhere far away, a rocket bomb exploded with a dull, reverberating roar. About 20 or 30 of them a week were falling on London at present. Tried it in a Welsh accent. Oh, hang on. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Oh, this is going to be difficult. I can't do Welsh. This is going to be funny. I'm going to try. Down in the... Mm, down in the street, a wind flapped and... No, I've still got the Irish thing going on there. Give me a second here. Hmm. Down in the street, the wind flapped a torn poster and fro. Nope, that's still Irish. Fuck. The word. Never mind. The word ingsoc fitfully appeared and vanished. Ingsoc. The sacred principles of ingsoc. Newspeak, doublethink, and mutability of the past. He felt as though he were wandering in the forests of the sea bottom, lost in a monstrous world where he himself was the monster. Welsh, how am I going to fuck it? You know what? A different accent, but I can't. Well, for some reason it's failing me. The past was dead. The future was unimaginable. What certainty had he that a single human creature now living was on his side? And what way of knowing that the dominion of the party would not endure forever? Like an answer, the three slogans on the white face of the Ministry of Truth came back to him. War is peace, freedom is slavery, ignorance is truth. Ignorance is strength. I'm trying to... You say that like it's going to be obvious I can do the French accent. Well, of course I can do the French accent, eh? He took a 25-cent piece out of his pocket, eh? There too in tiny clear lettering. Oh, very tiny. Oh, so tiny. Oui. The same slogans were inscribed. And on the other face of the coin, the head of Big Brother. How would a Frenchman say brother? That's interesting. Whatever. Even from the coin, the eyes pursued you. On coins, on stamps, on the covers of books, on banners, on posters, and on the wrappings of a cigarette packet everywhere. Always the eyes watching you and the voice enveloping you. Asleep or awake. Working, I'm German now. Working or eating, indoors or out of doors. That is how a Frenchman would say it. Out of doors. Sorry. In the bath? Oh. In the bed? Oh. No escape. Oh. Fucking hell. What the fuck? Okay, you can stop. I'm so sorry. I can't. Nothing was your own except a few cubic centimeters inside your skull. My dick is so big, huh? I know. This is why I wanted the accents, because I don't know why. I just knew it'd change it a little bit. The sun had shifted round, and the myriad windows of the Ministry of Truth, with the light no longer shining on them, looked grim in the loopholes of the fortress. His heart quailed before the enormous pyramidal shape. It was too strong. It could not be stormed. 1,000 rocket bombs would not batter it down. He wondered again for whom he was writing this diary. For the future, for the past, for an age that might be imaginary. And in front of him there lay not death but annihilation. Oof. Ooh, that one's deep. Ooh, that bit's a bit deep, innit? The diary would be reduced to ashes and himself to vapour. Only the thought police would read what he had written, before they wiped it out of existence and out of memory. How could you make an appeal to the future when not a trace of you, not even an anonymous word scribbled on a piece of paper, could physically survive? I already told you, I said that earlier when you first asked me, is that what gave me the idea? Because the book itself, it's very significant for now. This was written so long ago, and yet for some reason, right now, all of this makes complete sense. All of it. It's almost as if this is a true story and we're reading it like it's a joke. It's almost as if this is real right now. And it really is. And it's so horrifying to read. There's a scene near the end, or chapter, where he's strapped to a chair, mate. It'll blow your mind. Chapter 5, read chapter 5, get a hang of it. Go to Google, type in 1984 PDF, you'll be able to get your hands on it. Look at the PDF, go to chapter 5. Do that, and then just once you start reading, if you can stop, then stop, but otherwise, it'll just keep going. It's incredible. No, you don't have to worry about it, mate. I don't mind elaborating a little bit more for you. The telescreen struck 14. He must leave in 10 minutes. He had to be back at work by 14:30. Curiously, the chiming of the hour seemed to have put new heart into him. He was a lonely ghost uttering a truth that nobody would ever hear, but so long as he uttered it, in some obscure way the continuity was not broken. It was not by making yourself heard, but by staying sane, that you carried on human heritage. He went back to the table, dipped his pen and wrote. To the future or to the past, to a time when thought is free, when men are different from one another and do not live alone, to a time when truth exists and what is done cannot be undone. From the age of uniformity, from the age of solitude, from the age of Big Brother, from the age of doublethink. Greetings. He was already dead, he reflected. It seemed to him that it was only now that he had begun to be able to formulate his thoughts. That he had to... I'm just waiting for fucking an accent choice because I can't wait for what this is going to turn into. Oh no. That he had taken the decisive step. The consequences of every act are included in the act itself. He wrote, thought crime does not entail death. Thought crime is death. Now he had recognized himself as a dead man, it became important to stay alive as long as possible. Two fingers of his right hand were ink-stained. It was exactly the kind of detail that might betray you. Some nosing zealot in the ministry, a woman, probably. Someone like the little sandy-haired woman, or the dark-haired girl from that fiction department. Might start wondering why he had been writing during lunch interval, where he had used an old-fashioned pen. What he had been writing, and then drop a hint in an appropriate quarter. He went to the bathroom and carefully scrubbed at the ink away with a gritty dark brown soap which rasped your skin like sandpaper and was therefore well adapted for this purpose. He put the diary away in the drawer. It was quite useless to think of hiding it, but he could at least make sure whether or not its existence had been discovered. A hair laid across the page end was too obvious. With the tip of his finger he picked up the identifiable grain of whitish dust and deposited it on the corner of the cover where it was bound to be shaken off if the book was moved. Right, he got this book. Did you know that 1984 is considered as harmful? Yes, I did. I mentioned that before I started my stream. Yesterday, when I started reading this. Or today. The last stream I did before this stream, I mentioned that earlier. This is banned in certain places. You're not allowed to read it. You're not allowed to understand it. It's not allowed to make sense. I believe this is going to be in trouble in England soon. This is going to be in trouble quite soon, I believe. But yeah, it's definitely harmful literature. Because it's exposing what can happen when you all agree to an idea or a uniform ideology. LGBT. And if you do that, you're going to end up finding yourself on the other end of it when they get upset with you for not conforming. And we've seen that time and time again. It's almost people aren't paying attention. So I'm reading this because it's happening to everybody and we're not seeing it as a group. We're seeing it as individuals and it's not helping. We all think we're outside of this. Like him, we all think we're alone. We're not. There's so many of us. There's only a few people at the top with all the money and all the power. If everybody on the earth just went, you lot, give our fucking money back now. Why, what you gonna do? What you gonna do? Okay, everybody, let's take down the buildings, let's ignore the rules, and let's kill anybody who stands in our way. Okay then, well, if we get to keep our shit and we just want to give you some money back, fam, we'll do that. And they'll do that immediately, but we are too weak an individual to do anything about it. Why won't you say anything about someone at work? Well, I might lose my job. Why would you say anything about anything else? Oh, my friend might lose their job. I don't want to get them into trouble. Individual situations. There's so many things that people don't talk about because they think, like him, they're alone. They're not. It's just the people that are in this situation, they need to band together without scrutiny. And that's what this is kind of telling me, I guess. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Oh, chapter 3. Oh, wow, we're getting through these, aren't we? Ooh. Exactly. Exactly. Strength in unity. I mean, that's why I made that picture that is now being ripped, but never mind. It's still a good picture. Peace, love, and unity. I made that a long time ago. Let's see if I've got a 3D model of it. I'm sure I do somewhere. So if I just search this PC, hopefully it'll just pop up. I don't think capital letters matter, do they? I don't think they matter. I am waiting for more accent choices though. I am versatile. I'm versatile with accents. I would go for a couple. If I start doing them off the top of my head, then it just gets lost, and then I don't have a record of what's gone on. You know what I mean? So I just wait. Oh, don't you worry. I've got some fucking choices. Ooh, it's gonna be fun. All right, let's see where we go. Because there's nothing better than reading a serious book with the silliest voices. And then Jeremy lost his head because Jeffrey shot him in the face with a shotgun and blood went everywhere. His mother screamed for ages. Oh, what are you going to do to my son? Oh, that is a terrible thing. Save his life. Oh, you do that. It's just funny for some reason. Otherwise, it's Jeremy got shot and she's screaming. It's all terrible. I think this is what people should start doing, by the way. This is, you know what, now that you've put it into my head as an idea to keep going, I do want to read more books like this in different accents with different cadences and things. Try it with a... This will be a very sullen... And I'm a very educated Russian, by the way, so it's going to sound quite English. If that's okay. Da. I am very educated, huh? I don't know why, but all of my foreign people, they all, I don't know why. I don't know how they do that. Winston was dreaming of his mother. I don't know why, but they all have deep voices. Even the women have deep voices. I'm doing a woman's voice right now. He must. He thought. You see, it's only with like Russian words and stuff it comes across like, hey, привет, eh? Oh, привет. Would you, comrade, huh? Comrade. It's just when those things come out, it sounds right. But when I'm just reading, it just sounds like I'm educated. Duh, it sounds wrong. Oh, what? How do they say certain letters as well? Oh, he must, he does. Have been 10 or 11 years old when his mother had mother? Is that right? Murdered? Is it a D sound? I think so. When his mother had disappeared. Or is this Indian? Am I doing Indian at the moment? She was a tall, statuesque, rather silent, I think that's alright. Rather silent woman with a slow movements, with slow movements, and a magnificent fair hair. His father he remembered more vaguely as dark and thin. And see, it's just posh. It's just posh. It's not helping anything. It's not helping anything. Dressed always in neat, dark clothes. Winston remembered, especially in very thin soles of his father's shoes and wearing spectacles. Sorry. It's easier to learn Russian accent when you live in Eastern... I do suppose, considering that is, you know, geologically closer. Then again, I don't even hear Russian people speak English. All the Russian fuckers around me, all of them speak Russian. When they speak to me, they don't speak. It's just, yeah, oh. It's just, what are you doing? Just... They ring my buzzer, right? And all I get is, hey, open door, open door. Hey, open door. That's what I'll do. I said, what are you doing? No, I'm not here for you. I'm not your friend. Fuck off. And I'll put my fucking buzzer down. So you have a big disadvantage. A little bit, but... but, I mean, fire more accents at me. We'll see where this goes. Where am I at? Spectacles. The two of them must evidently have been swallowed up in one of the first great purges of the 50s. Ah, yes, the 50s. Elegant times. At the moment, his brother was sitting in some place deep down beneath him. With his young sister in her arms, he did not remember his sister at all, except as a tiny, feeble baby. Always silent, with large, watchful eyes. Both of them. Sorry. Were looking up at him. They were down in some subterranean place, the bottom of a well, for instance, or a very deep grave. But it was a place which, already far below him, was itself moving downwards. They were in a saloon of a sinking ship, looking up at him, though through the darkening water. There was still air in the saloon. They could still see him and he them. But all the while they were sinking down into the green waters, which in another moment must hide them from sight for ever. He was out of the light and air, while they were being sucked down to death, and they were down there because he was up here. He knew it, and they knew it, and he could see the knowledge in their faces. That is a full stop. I'll stop there. Is that a little bit better? Ooh, what was happening there? There was no reproach, either in the faces or in their hearts, only the knowledge that they must die in order that he might remain alive, and that this was part of the unavoidable order of things. He could not remember what had happened, but he knew in this dream that in some way the lives of his mother and his sister had been sacrificed to his own. With me being English, when you say South American, does redneck count? I think redneck counts, don't it? It was one of those dreams which, while retaining the characteristic dream of scenery, are a continuation of one's intellectual life, and in which one becomes aware of facts and ideas which still seem new and valuable after one is awake. The thing that now suddenly struck Winston was that his mother's death. Oh, that's not a full stop. I thought that was a full stop. Nearly 30 years ago had been tragic and sorrowful in a way that was no longer possible. Oh. I think I got that wrong. I think that was a different accent. I don't know what that one is, but I'm going to try and catalogue that one. That was good. South American. Let's see if this one counts. Where was I? Facts and ideas of still seen her values away. The thing that now suddenly struck Winston was that his mother's death, nearly 30 years ago, had been tragic and sorrowful, in a way that was no longer possible. Tragedy, he perceived, belonged to the ancient time, to a time when there was still privacy, love, and friendship, and when the members of a family stood by one another without needing to know the reason. His mother's memory tore at his heart because she had died loving him, when he was too young and selfish to love her in return, and because somehow he did not remember how she had sacrificed herself to the conception of loyalty that was private and unalterable. Such things, he saw, could not happen. What the fuck happened here? That scared the shit out of me. My hand slipped. Not bad for a man, Glue. Oh, thank you very much. Oh, you off? Oh, never mind, Martin. I'll catch you in a bit, dude. This has definitely been a fun experiment. I'll see you later, man. Have yourself a good night. I think that's a cue for me to run off. Is this the next chapter? No. Right, is there anybody left? Is there anybody here? You've got 2 minutes. You got 2 minutes to let me know you're here. Nice change for a stream. Well, thank you very much, man. Thank you very much. But yeah, if there is anybody here, you let me know, other than Martin, because he says he's got to go. You let me know and I'll keep reading. I'll keep reading and doing daft shit. Come on, the time's ticking. Anybody else there? Nobody. I'm not seeing anybody. I think that means I'm ending, yeah?